We live in a city, and yes, a country, that is swimming in a problem of police brutality, particularly directed against young black men, young Latino men, and other people of color. We live in a city that we know we shouldn't trust the police department when it says it's dealt with its police brutality problem, because over and over again we find that they have lied.
Right on, Andy. Preach it. Come on.
It's not fair that people have to fight for their rights. But that's the only way you get them.
Hands up, don't shoot! We got to fight back! Fuck you! United we stand, divided we fall! United we stand, divided we fall! United we stand, divided we fall! United we stand, divided we fall!
I'm Andy Thayer. I've lived in the city since 1978.
Some of them have done the churlish matter of deciding to basically take the CPD's line about what's happening in this building behind us here, hook, line, and sinker.
And I've been involved in picket lines of one sort or another since the late 70s, so it's been... That's way back in the last century for those of us who are young.
This is my study material here. I study here during the days. I'm not working right now. This is the second bedroom. My name is Aldo Hernandez. I'm originally from New York City. They also call me a political widow sometimes when he's out late at night or out on the protests and marches and demonstrations.
They keep on lying, and it keeps on costing our...
He has a passion for it, so he will stay up late at night. He will wake up early in the morning if he has a thought in his head. I've got to write, I have to write this article, so he can be very tenacious.
So, Mr. Mayor, we demand an immediate, impartial investigation of Homan Square.
Works very hard at making sure that it gets out there. So a lot of times, a lot of our evenings are spent with him, with his face in the computer, getting that work done.
I describe it to Aldo as my alternative lifestyle, the staying up until 3 or 4 in the morning to get some political project done and being totally trashed the rest of the day at work. Now I'm quote-unquote office manager, which is a nice title for secretary. Basically, I've been a clerical worker because it's allowed me to do which has been my passion, which is the political work.
He's invited me. It's just not really my thing. You know, so I'll definitely support him from here. I'll give him his time. I think that's part of the support as well. I have my own interests, which makes me who I am. And then at the end of the day, we both come together.
Oh, it's recording right now, damn it. Say hi, sweetie.
Hi, sweetie. I'm at Andy at Market Days, so I just went up to talk to him.
And I was thinking, who is this totally gorgeous man paying any attention to me?
Curiosity at first sight. And then we ended up, you know, progressing into a relationship, so I'm glad for that. We had 5 cats when we moved in. I wasn't really crazy about the idea, but, you know, I was the one in charge of getting the apartment. So thankfully, I picked an apartment that was big enough to accommodate 5 cats and 2 males, human males. Very gay, domesticated life, which is enjoyable, really.
I was just flabbergasted when I was lucky enough to meet Aldo, and very joyful. He totally revolutionized my life. in Lackawanna, New York. Between my 3rd and 4th grade, we moved out to Holland, New York, which was a rural, one-stop-light town. And I was a bit of a loner as a kid. There was something prepubescent, pre any sexual feelings, that I felt there was something different about me. My mom was a political activist. She didn't indoctrinate us, but I learned from her doing that sometimes it's important to take an unpopular stand simply because it's right. There was a small coterie of us, the outcasts, who were outcasts for one reason or another, who, as soon as we graduated from high school, tried to get as far away from there as possible. Very early on, I had the idea of becoming a journalist. I had seen some sort of notice about a protest against nuclear power. I saw a flyer on campus or something. I went down to the meeting in the city, and through the course of the meeting, I decided, well, you know, I'd rather not be a reporter on this. I'd rather participate. And we were actually found not guilty.
So you were arrested the first time you went out?
Yeah.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
I went home to work in my dad's aerospace plant as a third shift janitor. And my two most immediate co-workers were themselves college kids. And they were deeply homophobic, and they figured out part of the way through the summer that I was gay, and just made life miserable for me. And I, at that point, decided, well, when I get back to Chicago, I gotta deal with this or I'm gonna go insane. And I came out, dropped out of school. I was just dealing with this mental turmoil. And so in that respect, it was a fairly violent coming out. One of the biggest revelations for me was that homophobia is so ingrained in our society, and is to this day, that if it can get me to hate who I am, that says something about the power and destructiveness of that ideology, that it was so deeply rooted in the society that it's part of what made me a revolutionary. I finally began to feel really comfortable in this town in the 90s. And that was right around the time that we had formed what became GLN. What we were reacting to initially here in Chicago was 3 gay bashings in as many weeks, right in the Boys Town entertainment district. A week after our first protest, Matthew Shepard was attacked. And so, in some respects, we were reacting to a local version and then morphed into this national movement. That's when I really felt like, okay, I'm finally coming into my own as an adult, albeit much delayed from everyone else.
We'll all still be gay. Pray, pray, pray. We'll all still be gay.
I got involved in the issue of equal marriage rights for gays because I saw it as a civil rights issue. It was time to up things, and our way of upping things was, if gays can't get married, no one should be able to get married. It's a place of public accommodation. We pay our taxes for this damned office. If LGBTs can't get married, shut the whole damn place down. We had scoped it out in terms of what padlocks were required and so forth. So I was attempting to get the padlock around. Unfortunately, the door was bent, which meant that I was unable to successfully get a padlock. So they arrested us without us being able to get a padlock. The problem was that then they decided that we were responsible for the door having been banned. And there was a law that's a felony, criminal damage to state property. That was my first felony arrest. Then it was, oh shit. It became clear to me and others in GLN that we need to react not just to the violence and hate against our own community, but if we're going to be getting the kind of solidarity that we want and need in order to win our battles, we need to be there for other groups, quote unquote, who are facing much the same discrimination and violence. George Bush was coming to town. And this bastard had, of course, gotten away with murdering millions of Iraqis and Afghans. And so I talked with a few people that I thought might be up for this about trying to blockade his motorcade with a banner. We've never done anything like this, but I'm convinced our cell phones were tapped. They so saw this coming. And they wrapped us up really quickly. And where the battery on a police officer thing, we basically ran into each other. The funny thing in retrospect was down at 26 and Cal, the stories circulate. So it went from me at a protest to me attempting to assassinate the president. And the funny thing was, all the prisoners were on my side, and even a lot of the guards.
For a city that just paid out $16.5 million in that one suit, and last year paid out over $50 million for police misconduct in a city that's swimming in red ink. Excuse us if we're a little bit upset, not just about that money, but the continuing pattern of police misconduct and, yes, brutality that we have seen with the deaths of young black men in our city.
It's really nice to see that someone really can take that strong approach and say, you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. You're doing something wrong in the name of authority or politics or policing, but it's still wrong. But I'm here to let you know what the reality of this is.
I learned a little bit later, a youth had been killed 1 block away from us. Not, unfortunately, an uncommon occurrence in Uptown, as in so many other neighborhoods. But the comments that came out on the local blogs were about, oh, we got rid of another one. Not even knowing this young
To
man.
be with him is a wonderful blessing, because I didn't think that I was going to find someone that was intelligent and politically savvy and has an encapsulated passion and that's really who he is as a person.
Our wedding last year, to me, it was sort of an afterthought, and that we decided, oh, let's just have a big party for our friends and family. No gifts, none of the other icky things I associate with heterosexual marriage and weddings and so forth, which I just loathe. It felt wonderful. I mean, I'm not one to do, so-called victory laps, but in essence, in many respects, it was that. And we were finally able to say, as awful as so many things are in the world in terms of war, in terms of poverty, in terms of police brutality and so forth, at least we won something for a change. Had I not had to deal with the issue of coming out with being gay in a homophobic society, I think I would be a much different and much worse person, because I grew up white. I grew up, not impoverished. I was able to go to a good school and so forth. I think it forced me to re-examine things about American society that I would not have otherwise. And so I consider myself very fortunate. The whole Black Lives Matter issue has been really motivating me because I see what the police have done to gay people.
For these police officers, it's virtually impossible to get these bastards fired, let alone prosecuted in this town. And that has
We're the
everything to do
other.
with the culture
And when I see people being treated as the other, whether or not I'm part of it,
all the major
then
candidates are not
that I
talking
think
about.
needs,
Well, maybe
everyone
the
needs to be
problem is
concerned.
that we're spending 39% of our operational budget.
When people's attitudes in general change, when people get upset about the murder of a 12-year-old black boy in Cleveland by police in a way that they wouldn't have in years past, that forces change.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains.
These people on the other side, their power is not infinite.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
You can win. It's difficult. It's not fair that you have to fight the battle, but you can win.
We must love each other. We must love each other. And protect each other. And protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. 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 We have nothing to lose but our chains.
One thing that I've learned very rapidly, the worst thing about jail is the intense, blinding boredom. Some fascists tried to throw some punches at us, but they fortunately missed. Those who think they're entitled to this authority often very much are no business to be exercising it.